while all this was going on, there were about 60 people that showed up to a protest in Las Vegas over the weekend. Yes, that's right, folks. Not 6,000, not 600, 60. So this idea that, they represent the majority is completely absurd. So, it was another one of those rallies where a lot of people want Sisolak to be recalled. It was another one of those rallies where you had Trump signs, make America great again. Same stuff. Same stuff. My opinion hasn't changed on many of these protesters. I think many of these protesters are idiots. And I'm not going to change my opinion on that. Throughout the country, I think they're a bunch of idiots. With that being said, the Review-Journal caught up to one of these idiots, one of them, and this was one of the protesters, one of 60, by the way. I've gotten more people over my house for like a house party. Anyway, this is one of the 60 that the Review-Journal interviewed, and this protester says they are not in the minority. Have a listen to this.
We want to show that being called a minority is false. And that people widespread distrust the government shutdown, their reasons for it, and the effects of it. So Governor Sisolak recently called the protests isolated extremists, and I didn't know that we were calling Nevada's workforce isolated extremists.
Okay, first of all, you don't represent Nevada's workforce. You're 60 people that showed up on the Strip with Trump signs and Trump paraphernalia. You do not represent anybody but yourself. That's number one. So I completely disagree with that. Listen to what this guy said next. He said he's standing up for ethnic minorities impacted by the virus. Listen to this.
Because a virus cannot determine who it infects, but a shutdown can determine who it punishes and who it rewards. And so the demographic of who arrives may be the fact that the people actually affected the worst don't have the money to even show up to these things, and they're more worried about scrambling to survive and keep their businesses going that they came from another country to form in this country.
Okay, first of all, what the hell are you talking about? This protest was free. Anybody could have gone down there. And if you live far, you could take a $2 bus ride. So this idea that these minorities and these people that are struggling, these minorities, can't go down there is absurd. It didn't cost any money to go down there. Even if you don't have a car, you could have taken a $2 bus to get down there. What the hell is this guy talking about? That is completely false. Make no mistake about it. Anybody, and I mean anybody, could have gone down there to this protest. So this idea that you had to have money and you have to be well off to go down there is stupid. That guy made absolutely no sense with those statements, and he's wrong.
But this is definitely affecting those who aren't well off financially more than those who are. If you're well off financially, you can sit back for 6 to 8 months and basically quarantine yourself for however long you want to. You can have groceries delivered, or you can go out, once a month. You could go to your pool, you can go to your big house. But if you don't have a nice place to live, if you're not getting through the unemployment office, if you only got that $1,200 stimulus check plus your standard unemployment, you're having a hard time right now, Brian. And that's not just in Las Vegas. That's all over the country. Here's a stat for you. 1 in 5 kids right now aren't getting enough to eat in the United States because of financial strain on their parents. Did you know that?
I don't doubt anything you said. That's not what I was referring to. I don't doubt anything you just said.
But I would say that, yeah, obviously, do they represent the 400,000 unemployed in Nevada? Obviously, do 60 people represent 400,000? Of course not. Is there a political angle to it? Yes. But you can't say that there is an association there between those who are protesting and those who are out of work and who want to get back to work.
This man just said that some of these minorities don't have the means to get down to this protest. That's what I was referring to, because I think it's an asinine, ignorant thing to say. He's wrong. He's simply flat out wrong.
I think you used the word afford. They can't afford to come to the protest.
It was free. The guy's an idiot for making that statement. Now, if you want to talk about, how it's affecting people, of course I agree with that. Of course, if you're well off, it's not affecting you as badly as it would affect someone who, is trying a paycheck-to-paycheck job, for example. I don't doubt that for 1 second. But this guy added that because you're a minority and maybe you can't afford to go down to this protest, that's just an ignorant thing to say.
And it is actually affecting minorities. I mean, minorities across the country are being infected and dying at a significantly higher rate than non-minorities.
Again, I don't doubt that. But these spokespeople, or these people that are giving sound bites to the media, are morons. They say stupid things. If you're a minority and you're struggling, you're out of work, nothing stopped you from going down to the Strip and protesting and make it 61 people. Nobody stopped you from doing that. So I don't know what this guy is talking about. Apparently he doesn't understand. Maybe he thought that there was $100 to get through the invisible door of this protest. It was free. So this guy's obviously not very intelligent. When you make a statement like that, you're stupid. Sorry, this guy is stupid. And there's a lot of people throughout the state that actually support Governor Sisolak. There are people throughout the state that think he's done a really good. I'm actually one of them. And when I say support, I'm not even saying I would 100% vote for the guy, but I think under these circumstances, he made some very difficult decisions. And by the way, I am not alone. Our producer, Jason Stein, is going to give you some numbers of a brand new fresh poll that came out. This is post-pandemic, during when this thing came out. And he's going to give you a few numbers here and real stats of what does Nevada think about Governor Sisolak's performance. And these numbers are, I got to say, I'm actually not surprised. But Stein, go ahead. Give me those numbers. This was by the Review Journal. And by the way, keep this in mind. The Review Journal is not a left-wing publication. Last I checked, Sheldon Adelson owns the Review Journal. It is certainly a publication where I think everyone would agree it leans more to the right than to the left.
I would call it right-leaning, for sure.
Absolutely.
In their coverage.
So, Stein, give me some of these statistics. What can you tell us about this latest poll that came out from the Review Journal? Because it's very, to me, it's very important.
Well, Review Journal did a deep dive on this, and it was published in their Sunday paper. I'm just going to give you some of the highlights that I thought were very interesting.
How many votes, Stein?
Okay. I don't know. I think they talked to 400 voters, JD.
400, okay.
Okay. It's a poll. It's a scientific poll.
Right.
Right? Okay. Done by a reputable newspaper, the Review Journal. Okay. So the poll was done May, and if you want to look it up, I can send you the link, and you can fill in some of the gaps. I'm just going to give some of the percentages here. The poll was done May 2nd through 5th among voters, likely voters, I believe. And this was right after Sisolak announced that he was going to extend the stay-at-home order until May 15th. Remember, it was originally April 30th. A day or so after he said he was going to extend it another 2 weeks, they conducted this poll from May 2nd to May 5th. Now, here's some of the interesting things. 64% of people they talked to approved of Sisolak's approach to the virus, the way he's handling it and the things that he's done. 64% compared to 28% who disapprove.
That also tells me that there are people on the right, based on that poll, that approve of what he is doing. These are not just Democrats. Go ahead, Stein.
Right. They broke it down by party and all that. But overall, 64% of everyone they talked to approve of Sisolak, 28% disapprove. This is probably the most stunning number in the poll to me. Among people that have been laid off or furloughed, okay, these are people that have been impacted financially the hardest by Sisolak's order. The people that have every reason to be mad at Sisolak because they lose their livelihood. 68% of those people said they approve of Sisolak's handling of the coronavirus. 68% among people who've been laid off or furloughed. That is stunning.
Well, out of 400, I would not be surprised if 360 of those had already received their employment benefits. But I can tell you this. I saw a poll a week ago, and I looked for it last night, and it was on News Now or Channel 8 News Now, and it was 12,000 votes, and it was 60-40 no yes. Granted, I tried to find that poll last night. Yeah. News 8 Now literally has 50 Facebook posts every single day. So I couldn't actually scroll that. I couldn't take 45 minutes to scroll through it to actually find the poll because it was a week ago.
I did some research on that.
But that poll definitely did take place. It had a significantly larger sample size.
Do you know when that poll took place?
Well, it's hard to say that. I mean, 12,000. I'd like to have the poll in front of me.
Right, exactly. I tried to find it. I couldn't find it.
This poll surveyed 500 likely voters in Nevada, the state of Nevada, from May 2nd to 5th. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell the people that are doing the poll that they don't know what they're doing. 500, if they thought that was a good sample size, then I take their word for it. Still, 68% of people, whether they had gotten their checks or not, the people that are impacted the most, 68% approve of Sisolak. Okay. The poll also found that 61 on the just complete flip side of things, 61% of people oppose the way Carolyn Goodman is handling things. The CNN interview, the going out there, maybe have actually predated the CNN interview, but her belief that everything should be open on the Strip and everything should open right away, all the stuff that she's been saying for months. In this poll, 61% opposed that approach by Goodman. So you got 64% approving Sisolak, 61% approving Sisolak, 61% opposing Goodman.
It's what my opinion has been all along, which is this. You could be a Republican. You could be a Democrat. I don't care. The bottom line is Governor Sisolak has had to make some extremely difficult decisions in the last few months. He acted swiftly and he acted quickly in closing down the Strip. I don't care what political affiliation you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care anything about, your biased politics. You have to admit the fact that Sisolak did the right thing by closing down the Strip when he did, when by many it might have not been a very popular decision. But he did it anyway, and I think because he did that, he saved lives. That was a very, very difficult, decision to make. I believe under these circumstances, he's done a good job. He's not perfect. At times, he has struggled to be specific in communicating with the public. I get that. I wish he would do a little bit more local media. But with that being said, I think he's done a pretty damn good job. And I could tell you a lot of politicians today that are not doing a good job. I wouldn't put Sisolak in that category.
Well, you would put Donald Trump there.
Well, of course, I would put Donald Trump in that category.
And you're not politically biased at all. But you're asking people not to be politically biased, but you're not politically biased yourself.
Okay, so here's what I just said.
All right.
I said I am supporting Governor Sisolak.
And I'm saying I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. I'm supporting Governor Sisolak because I think he's done a good job to this point. And the reason why I'm not supporting Donald Trump has zero to do with the fact that he is a Republican. It has everything to do with the fact that I think he is a horrible human being, and he held rallies. And in the month of February, he literally did nothing to stop this virus from getting here. He played a lot of golf, and he held rallies. Now, I can give you more, but this really doesn't have anything to do with Donald Trump.
He shut down travel to China.
And he did that in January.
Before February.
No, I understand that. I understand that. So what did he do as far as testing goes, preparing this country in January and February? What did he do?
Well, the CDC had...
I didn't ask you about the CDC.
The CDC had testing, and the testing...
Didn't ask you about the CDC.
There was a contamination in the lab, and it delayed testing by a month and a half.
Didn't ask you about the CDC.
That is not on
Donald Trump.
That is not on Donald Trump.
Okay, well, you brought that up. You brought up Donald
absolutely.
Trump, and I'm giving you my reasons.
No, I'm not finished with you with Sisolak yet.
Okay, well, you brought up... Hold on. You made an accusation that it's all about politics.
Well, I think it is. I think you're very biased politically.
Okay. Well, I think you are.
And you accuse other people of being it when you actually are.
Okay.
I think you project constantly in that regard.
So I'm giving you my opinion, and you're attacking me. And
no, I'm not. I'm not attacking you.
Okay, hold on.
I'm giving you my opinion about you.
Okay.
I think that you're politically biased.
Okay.
And you like to call out other people for being what you are, which is hypocritical.
Okay. Well, we just ran a poll.
We did.
Of
a very minimal sample size.
If I can finish.
Okay, I want to just interject on this supposed CBS poll that exists. CBS 8, it did not. I would find it very hard to believe that local Channel 8 had the means to interview 12,000 people. I've never seen a poll of people of 12,000.
They didn't interview 12,000 people. They have 320,000 likes on their Facebook page.
That has nothing to do with the poll.
They do. No.
Okay,
no.
That's fine, JD. That is not a scientific poll.
They put together a poll on their
okay.
Facebook page.
Okay.
Yes.
That's different.
Yes.
This, by the Review Journal, is a scientific.
Okay.
It's a scientific poll. That's different than a Facebook, because, this is not scientific. I have a couple more nuggets when you guys are done.
Go ahead. He brought up Trump, not me. Go ahead.
You brought up the other politician that wasn't doing a good job, and I said, I bet it's Trump. So you brought up Trump.
I didn't bring up Trump. You did.
Then who would you be bringing up? What politician is not doing a good job outside of Trump?
Well, here's the thing.
Who could you possibly be alluding to?
We're doing a segment about Governor Sisolak. I gave you my opinions on Governor Sisolak, and we're talking about a poll. If you'd like to talk about Donald Trump for the next 2.5 hours, we can do that.
I have zero desire to do that at all.
Okay, so why don't we continue to let Jason Stein talk about the rest of the poll, and then if you have opinions that you'd like to ask me about Donald Trump, I will gladly answer them. But I'd like to stay on topic.
We just got about 1 minute left, and there's just a couple more very interesting things in this poll. And of course, you want to read the whole thing, go to reviewjournal.com. They've got the whole thing up there, and like I said, they broke it down pretty good. As far as like that guy that we played that audio from where he said, hey, we're not in the minority. Well, poll absolutely discredits that because they found actually the protesters, the people that have been out are actually a very vocal minority. And to back up those numbers, 22% of people in the poll want to lift the restrictions immediately, and only 8% want to lift all restrictions lift the order immediately, but without restrictions. So,
All right.
22% want it to lift immediately.
All right, so here's what I want to do. We just gave you the RJ poll where 68% of those who have lost their jobs approve of Governor Sisolak. 63% of all that were in this poll also approve of Governor Sisolak.